Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're bringing you a first look at yet another premium battleship coming to the live server for super testing. This is Tier VII Premium Commonwealth Battleship HMS Yukon. Now, I guess maybe it'd be HMCS Yukon, I guess, technically? I don't know. Let's just go with HMS for now, and maybe I'll figure out. This is an odd ship, guys. I gotta say, Commonwealth Battleship was not something not words I thought I would ever say when it came to talking about World of Warships. And yet, here we are. Presumably, given the name Yukon, this is meant to be a ship that would have been part of the Royal Canadian Navy. She is, I'll summarize what's going to take me several minutes to highlight to everybody, but the bottom line is, this is a down-tiered Tier VIII British battleship, HMS Monarch. This ship is, at its core, a Monarch, okay? The guns, the hull, all that stuff, we'll talk about it as we go, but if you're looking for a short and quick summary of this ship, this is a Monarch that's been tweaked and brought down to Tier 7 and shoved into the Commonwealth nation. So, yeah, that's what you're looking at. So let's kind of root around and talk about what's the same, what's different, and so on, because, of course, it's not always identical. Starting off with Survivability, 60,500 HP. This is identical to Monarch, as is her 22% torpedo protection. The hit points pool is pretty solid for Tier 7. It's not best in tier, it's not worst in tier. It's kind of, right in the middle of the road. Lots of Tier 7 battleships are in this kind of range. Duke of York, KG-5, Ashitaka, Hyuga, which is still in testing, but eventually will come out soon, so on and so forth, right? So I mean, pretty average. Nothing to be excited about here. Up at Tier 8, Monarch has this exact same health pool where it feels really, really bad because it's quite a bit on the low side by about 6 to 10,000 hit points for Tier 8. So that feels kind of crappy at Tier 8, but here at Tier 7, pretty comfortable. Armor layout. Again, as near as I can tell so far, she is essentially the same armor layout as a Monarch, and that's not anything to get excited about. Let me tell you why. For starters, we've got 26mm extremities here on the bow, and all the deck armor, all of the stern armor. So what that means is this ship will eat HE shells for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Nom nom, she loves them all. They will all be full pens. They will start copious fires. She loves to burn. That's what this ship does. The one place you can potentially land shells on this ship, HE shells that will shatter, is kind of this upper belt you see here. 381 millimeters on the extremities, tapering into 356 in the center. I'm not sure why you'd magically drop an inch as you moved inwards on the ship, but that's what they've done here. Now, it is 380 millimeters, 381 here on the, again, we're protecting the magazines, and then 356 again over the center, and the whole thing tapers down to basically 260 here forward, 235 in the center. So it's got a tapering belt, but there's this acknowledgement for some reason that the machinery spaces in the middle of the ship deserve less armor protection than the magazines do. And I guess it kind of makes sense. Let's peel these away just a little bit and talk about her citadel. This is her citadel. This is basically the same as Monarch. You've got most of the citadels in the ship, but you've got this little kind of thin pancake that spreads across the width that you can catch her broadside and do some mean things to her. This citadel does sit right on the waterline. Like, the roof of the citadel is almost exactly on the waterline. If I zoom in here, you can kind of see the water kind of dutching below and kind of kissing the top of the citadel there. So Monarch is not a ship that's impossible to citadel. It's a ship that's, I will say, it's a bit challenging to citadel her from a distance or with regular AP shells. But you don't have to worry about that because the thing eats so much regular penetration and HE fire damage that you never feel comfortable in this ship, ever. I've never felt comfortable playing a Monarch. The ship is just so soft. Ooh. Anyway, okay. Maneuverability, concealment. These values are basically lifted straight from Monarch. 28 knot top speed, 790 meter turning circle, identical. Rudder shift time 9.7. That's better. That's significantly better, actually. Noteworthy. Is it going to make a huge difference in how she performs in game? Probably not, but it's a nice little quality of life change. 12.8 detection on the surface. That is with her camo. Right now, her camo is bugged, so she is wearing her camo right now, her permanent camo that comes with the ship, but you can't tell because it's basically invisible. Her base detection without it is 13.2, which all in for stealth, again, Tier 7, so I can't take concealment, means that I get an 11.5 concealment on the surface. That is best in tier. That narrowly edges out California by a few hundred meters. That's actually kind of nice. It one of the things that the British battleships, certainly Monarch, is known for is that stealth. And it's noteworthy because a ship this soft occasionally wants to disengage and pull away and use a heel and, before she gets back into combat. And yeah, HMS Yukon, HMCS Yukon, pardon me, will retain the ability to do that. So yeah, best in tier detection basically on the surface. And then you see their 9.1 detection on from the air. That is also best in tier, actually. Again, edging out a couple of competitors by 100 meters. Leon and Colorado look like they're at 9.2. But yeah, so not bad. Speaking of detection by air, let's have a look at her AA, and we'll go look at the main battery. AA is not anything to get super excited about. You've got a 5.2 max range there. Four flak puffs at 1330 damage apiece. This is typical of Tier 7. That's normal. 4 flak puffs about this damage is pretty standard. Like 5 and 6 flak puffs in this tier is above average. So 4 is average. Nothing to get excited about there. Long range aura, 84 DPS. Again, you're not going to be dissuading any strikes. Most of her punch coming in the mid-range aura on the back of the 40mm QF Mark 7s and Mark 8s. She does pick up a little more DPS in the inner aura on the back of the 20mm Oerlikons. And yeah, this ship does not have Monarch's AA suite. Okay. That is one thing, one notable difference between the two ships is that Monarch's AA for Tier 8, pretty solid, especially that mid-range. Monarch's mid-range aura is brutally punishing. Yukon's here doesn't feel quite as bad. Doesn't feel quite so bad to go up against. Also, you see there the ranges. Note the ranges. 5.2 on the outer ring is a little below what you would want. You would want 5.8, so 5.2 is a little low. That middle ring doesn't start until 2.5. That's like terminal distance for a torpedo strike. So yeah, this ship is not going to really dissuade enemy carriers with her AA. They will pay a price for striking her. They'll probably lose a few planes, but are they going to look at your AA and go, "Oh, I'm not going near that"? No, you're not going to dissuade any carrier. Not even a Tier 6 carrier is going to be really afraid of this AA suite. So we've talked about her survivability. It's like Monarch. She's very soft. She's mediocre speed, really good stealth. With all of these things, what am I getting for the main battery? Well, guess what, guys? You're getting Monarch guns. That's basically what these are. These are 381mm 45 caliber barrels. These are basically the Monarch guns. You see there, 5,300 damage out of the HE shells. That's the same, I think. I'll go double check, but I'm pretty confident it is. The 34% fire chance, I think, matches up. Let's have a check here. I gotta scroll back to the left to make sure I'm not giving you guys bad information. Actually, no, it is a little different. So Monarch shells, okay, so these are actually a little weaker. Monarch shells do 6,300 HE damage on a 35% fire chance. Here we're getting basically the same fire chance, but a little less damage. That's kind of crappy. You are getting the same, basically, AP performance there. 11,900 damage out of the AP shells is basically the same. Monarch not really known for her AP performance, right? Especially at long range. At mid to short range, the AP can do good things, in my experience. I've really struggled to get good performance out of the AP on these guns. Now, with all of that said, note the range. 15.7 kilometer main battery range at Tier 7. That's atrociously bad for a battleship. That's like Miyoko range, right? That's like cruiser range. There are heavy cruisers in this tier that have more range than this. I'm looking at you, Algerie and York, for example. So that stealth we were talking about earlier, really, really necessary because that main battery range is terrible. Absolutely, absolutely terrible. She does have some little secondaries running down the side of the ship, these little 130mm twin turrets. So, 5.6 kilometers on these. You might get some use out of them if you find yourself at close range, but if Monarch's at close range, things are really, 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 really bad. So yeah, main battery performance, that's hard to say, right? And the 216-meter dispersion ellipse on a 15-kilometer range, that does not feel very good either. I'm really curious to play this ship because I'm afraid the gun performance is going to feel even worse than Monarch. And Monarch's guns don't really endear themselves to me to begin with. I don't particularly care for the high end of the British battleship line. To me, that line stops at KG5. Right? King George V is the last, for me, is the last enjoyable British battleship to play in the regular tech tree. And now here we are taking the Tier 8 tech tree battleship, dropping it a tier, tweaking it a bit, slapping a premium label on it, another nation, going, here you go. I'm not excited about this ship, but that's just me. Let's go look at the consumables. See if there's anything standouts over here. Standard DCP. You get your choice between spotter and fighter. Okay, typical. Does she get the fancy British heel? She does. So she does get the crazy British battleship print a new ship heel that Monarch gets starting at Tier 8. Remember, starting up to Tier 7, the British battleships don't get access to that fancy, crazy heel that starts at Tier 8. Yukon here brings that crazy heel down to Tier 7, and she's probably going to need it. Now, as much as I rag on Monarch here, and I have been ragging on Monarch quite a bit, at Tier 7, this ship might be pretty good. I mean, think about some of the competition she's going to see at Tier 7, right? The likes of a Pensacola, a Congo, Omaha, right? This ship in that kind of matchmaking bracket, right? The Tier 6, the Tier 5, when she's top tier, let's say, this ship could be pretty punishing with this heel, the guns, the HE performance. You can citadel all kinds of things with these HE shells, much less the AP. Yeah, I mean, something to like there maybe, especially since her stealth means that she's gonna outspot some heavy cruisers in that matchmaking bracket. That can be skanky too. So is Yukon? I don't look at this ship and think, oh, there's nothing to like here. There's some intriguing things. I feel like taking Monarch and dropping it to Tier 7 is interesting. It's an interesting experiment. Is it going to make it all the way to live? Well, I don't know, right? For kind of a, this is gonna sound like being a jerk, but for kind of what amounts to a low effort premium like this, if it never makes it to the live server, they haven't really lost a whole lot of development time, right? The ship model already existed. We tweaked a few things, slapped a different nation flag on it, and tested it out. Did it work? Hey, it worked. Great, let's sell it. Oh, it didn't work. Well, we didn't lose a whole lot of money in that, right? We didn't invest a whole lot in it. So, will we see Yukon come to live? I don't know. I mean, usually Wargaming's pretty good about once a ship gets to this point, it makes it all the way to live. But my speculative point is that if she proves to be OP in testing, or they decide they don't like this concept, they're not out a whole lot because there's not a whole lot going on here in terms of modeling time and so on. Anyway, guys, there's our first look at Tier 7 Premium Commonwealth Battleship. Again, words I never thought I would say together. HMCS Yukon. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Wash your hands. Be safe. I'll catch you next time.